All right, this is lesson 15 from module 1. We're going to actually compute lengths from scale drawings and scale drawing lengths. So yesterday, this question should look really familiar. We talked about basketball at recess and how Vincent wants to create this basketball court outside so that kids can use it for recess. So here's the drawing again. And the question actually says, will the lot be big enough for the court he plans? So we have to figure out how big this court actually is because we only have a drawing. So it's create a table that shows the measurements on the scale drawing and then the actual court dimensions. So if you look back up at the picture, it says 1 inch is equal to 15 feet. So 1 inch in the scale drawing is equal to 15 feet in real life. So that goes there. That's our scale. Now, the lengths that we are given are the two lengths that are in the drawing. So our length in the drawing would be 2 inches, and our width would be 1 2/3 inches. So that comes directly from this picture. Now, to find the actual length, I'm going to move this up because I'm going to show my work down at the bottom of the page. To find out the actual lengths, okay, I'm going to set up a proportion. So the two units that I have here that I'm comparing are inches and feet. Now, I'm going to write these units here so that I know all of the inches go on top, all of the feet go on the bottom. So I'm going to start off with the two that I know right here for my scale. I have 1 inch is equal to 15 feet. And I know that 2 is the inches in the scale drawing. So I'm going to put 2 on top. But I don't know how many feet that is. So I'm going to use an x to determine what that length would be. So I'm going to cross multiply. 1 times x is just x. 15 times 2 is 30. So my answer to that is 30 feet. So my length in real actual court would be 30 feet. I know this is really hard to see. Let me pull it down a little bit. Okay. Let's do this again, now trying to find the width. So I'm going to use 1 inch is 15 feet. That's my scale. I'm still using inches over feet. So now 1 2/3 is the number of inches, and I want to know how many feet that is. So once again, I'm going to cross multiply. 1 times x is just x. Now we need to do 15 times 1 2/3. So let me bring my calculator in. 15 times 1 2/3 gives us 25. So this would be 25 feet. So the court dimensions, oops, not 35, 25. That means the court dimensions are 30 by 25, actual dimensions. Now, the lot, if you go back up and see, it's a 25 by 75 foot lot. So will that fit? Yeah, because it's only 25 by 30 feet, not 25 by 75. So it's actually going to be smaller than that actual space that was given to you. All right, so let's keep going with this. Let's look at example 2. All right, example 2 says this is the diagram. We talked about this yesterday. Here's a garden. The scale is 1 centimeter for every 20 meters. Okay, so find the actual length and width of the garden. So our scale, 1 centimeter in the drawing is equal to 20 meters. This would help if you could see that. There we go. So that's my scale. I know in the drawing, my length, if I count this up, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8 blocks long, which means it's 8 centimeters. So my length is 8 centimeters in the drawing. And 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters width in the drawing. So the question is, what is the length and width of the actual garden? So this time I'm comparing centimeters to meters. So my little label here is going to be centimeters over meters. I have 1 centimeter is equal to 20 meters. So 8 is the number of centimeters. So x is the number of meters. I'm going to cross multiply. X times 1 is x. 20 times 8 is 160. So 160 meters. All right, let's do that again. We're still going to use the scale, 1 centimeter, 20 meters. This time we know it's 4 centimeters. I don't know how many meters that is. So 1 times x is x. 20 times 4 is 80. So 80 meters is the actual dimension. So the actual dimensions of the garden are 160 by 80 meters. All right, example 3, we're talking about the tablet. Okay, we already know that 0.25 inches, I'm going to write this again, is equal to 1 inch. That's our scale. It says, what is the length and the width of the actual tablet? So we are talking about inches and inches. So this is kind of different because they're both inches. So let's actually label this. This is the inches in the drawing, and this is the inches in the actual dimensions. So in the drawing, we have 0.25. Actual, we have 1. That comes from our scale. These are picture dimensions, so that's going to be our drawing. So let's start with the 1 1/4 over x. Okay, let's cross multiply. 0.25 times x is 0.25x. 1 times 1 1/4 is still 1 1/4. Now to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by 0.25. So x is equal to, let's bring the calculator in, 1.25, that's 1 1/4, divided by 0.25 gives us 5. So that's 5 inches. Now we're going to do the same thing, but with the 1 1/8, so we can find the other dimension. So our scale stays the same, 0.25 and 1. This time our dimension is 1 1/8, and we don't know how many inches actual drawing it is. So 0.25 times x is equal to 1 times 1 1/8. So divide both by 0.25. So x equals, let's do that in the calculator, 1 1/8 divided by 0.25 gives us 4.5 inches. So the actual dimensions, the length and width, are 5 and 4.5. All right, example 4. The scale of the map is 1 inch equals 25 miles. So that's the scale. This is the length in miles. And this is the, we are finding the distance on the map. So our two dimensions are inches and miles. So 1 inch is 25 miles. 37.5 is the number of miles, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. X is our number of inches, which is going to go on top. So we have 25 times x, which is 25x. 1 times 37.5 is 37.5. Now to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by 25. So 37.5 divided by 25 gives us 1.5, and that's inches. So on the map, it would be 1.5 inches away. All right, the next 3 problems are all exercises. I want you to try this on your own. I want you to set up your labels for your proportions. I want you to set up your proportions and then solve to find the actual distances or the scale drawing distances. Go ahead and pause this video. When you're done, I want you to hit play just to make sure you have the right answers. All right, this one we are talking about the distance on the map. Here's our scale. We're comparing centimeters to miles. So my 2 units are centimeters and miles. I have 1 centimeter equals 24 miles. They give us the distance on the map, which is 4 for centimeters, and I want to know how many miles that is, the actual distance. So 1 times x is x. 24 times 4, let's bring in our calculator, gives us 96. So these 2 cities are 96 miles apart. All right, here we have a butterfly picture. They have the scale up above, and it's comparing centimeters to millimeters. So it says the scale is 0.25 for every 1. Now it says the actual width. So the width in the drawing is 4.5. That's centimeters. They want to know how many millimeters that is. So let's cross multiply. We have 0.25x. 1 times 0.4 or 4.5 is 4.5. To solve, we're going to divide both sides by 0.25. So x is equal to 4.5 divided by 0.25, 18. That would be 18 millimeters. All right, last one, number 3. Okay, we have a scooter that's 3.5 feet long, and here's our scale that we're using. So we're comparing inches to feet. So 1 inch is 3/4 of a foot. So we have 3.5 feet. How many inches is that? So let's cross multiply. 3/4 times x is 3/4 x. 1 times 3.5 is 3.5. We're just going to divide both by 3/4. So take your calculator. 3.5 divided by 3/4 gives us 4 2/3. And that's inches. So in the drawing, that would be 4 2/3 inches. All right, I want you to keep working on these by trying in the homework, setting up those proportions, making sure you have labels. We will go over all of this in class tomorrow.